share with you, and it's to start off with, I want to give a little bit of a background to this exciting new news. And the background information starts back in 2005. One of the blessings of being a pastor of a church as long as I have a bit of the history of the church. And I've been part of that history, and I praise God for that. So in 2005, we recognized that we needed to do something because we were outgrowing this facility. And we need to do something to expand. And what we did then, because if you've been around, you know that at one time there was a wall back there. The sound booth was about 15 feet or 20 feet this way. And there was a wall there, and there was a set of doors at the back. And then there was a foyer, and my office was over there, and Pastor Tim's office was over there, and we had another little office there. Well, in 2005, we made the decision to knock out the wall, to get rid of the offices. But to do that, we had to purchase that building over there, and we had to purchase the house next door. And we did that, and it ended up being quite interesting because we were looking at buying the house, and while we were in the process of looking at buying the house, the lady who lived there was not interested in selling us the house, and Rick Kalari, who owned that building, which used to be our original church, was interested in selling his building, and we had first dibs on that because we sold it to him, so we ended up buying that. Lo and behold, the lady next door passed away, and her family wanted to sell that, and we were able to get in quickly and make an offer, and by the grace of God, we ended up buying both buildings at the same time. $380,000 worth of debt that we went into. And within record time, we paid that all off. It's all done. And it was done before we did the renovations on this. The plan at that time was that we would eventually tear down the house and we would add an addition onto the building here, and that addition would be a foyer. We would knock out the rest of the walls here, flip the auditorium on its side, put the platform there, and we would increase the seating capacity of this building somewhere between the 350 to 400. And the reason for that was because we were looking at doing church planting. And because we were considering church planting, we said the mother church needs to be big enough, strong enough to be able to sustain giving away between 50 to 100 people and financially supporting that work. And so in 2008, 3 years later, we had now purchased the house. We'd purchased the building next door. Pastor Mark had come on board, and he was our assistant pastor at the time. And so we'd gone through all of that, and the plan again was that we were going to plant 3 churches. We made a presentation to the church at our annual business meeting in 2008, and the church voted that we would move forward with this plan of planting 3 churches. And we said the steps that need to happen to make this a reality is, first of all, we need to pay off the house, and we need to pay off the office building. And then once we've paid those off, then we're going to add an addition onto this building and knock down the rest of the walls, flip the auditorium, and create a space that would hold between 350 and 400 people so that we could then be strong enough to be able to do a church plant. The third step would be to hire a church planter, someone that we would bring on staff who would then be responsible to put together a team of people between 50 and 100 people that would go with that person to then plant a new church in the Sudbury region. That was in 2008. But we got sidetracked. Some people raised the question, why spend money on an addition? Why not just keep us the way we are, the size that we are, and do church planting from here? So we put off the idea of adding an addition on, and here we are, 2 years past 2014. By the way, 2014 was, the idea was that in 2014 we would start our first church plant. Here we are, 2016, and we haven't done that yet. The idea was that in 2014 we started our first church plant, 2017 we started our second church plant, and 3 years later a third church plant. And we're a year away from 2017, we haven't started our first church plant yet. And so 2 years ago, in 2014, the elders prayerfully looked at whether or not we should be looking at strengthening Lansing and recognizing that we need to have a strong core here of about 350 to 400 as a base for the church to be able to continue and then do church planting. So we've kind of gone back to the original plan that we had in 2005, that we need to grow and we need to expand. To do that, we need to either expand our current facilities or relocate. So we need to either find a way of expanding this facility, which would be adding on, and I've talked to a builder that I know quite well, and his suggestion was we add on, tear the building down there, because otherwise we have no parking, tear down the house, and so you create your parking, you add an addition on, and put the offices in the upstairs floor, and that is certainly one possibility. The other is to relocate. To relocate. In other words, to sell all 3 buildings and move to a different location. The exciting news. Again, your elders and deacons have been prayerfully looking for ways to either expand the current facility or find a new location. About 8 weeks ago, we found what we believe is the new location. A school on Holland Road, St. Andrew's Catholic School. It's just on the other side of Barry Down. We can purchase and renovate the school by selling all of these buildings. In fact, if we sell our office building and we sell the house, the sale of those 2 buildings will cover the cost of purchasing the school. And then the sale of this building will cover the cost, if not all the cost, certainly the vast majority of cost of doing whatever renovations we need to do on that particular school building to get it ready for us as a church family. We know that to expand our current building, as we were discussing this just recently with our elders and deacons just this past week, that to expand our building, if we were to add an addition on, we're looking at least, just adding the addition would be at least $500,000 that we would have to come up with. On top of that, we would be tearing down a house that is worth somewhere around $200,000. We'd be tearing down an office building that's worth about $300,000. And so literally we're talking $1 million that it would cost the church to expand and stay in our current location. The school, on the other hand, before I get there, but we will still have some of our challenges. One of the challenges that we faced here over the years as we have continued to grow, I'm just going to ask here, how many of you parked across the street today? Okay, that's one of our challenges, parking. The school has, and I'm running ahead of myself, I don't want to do that. So one of our challenges is parking. Another challenge is our children's ministry. We love seeing the children here. We love seeing how many children God has blessed us with. But one of the challenges we have when we go downstairs and the children go downstairs is we're running out of space. And then also our children's safety. One of the things that we've done is we've incorporated that our children come back up at the end of the service, because one of the concerns was that when we go downstairs for Cafe Connection and all the children are downstairs, that anybody can go downstairs and grab a kid and walk out the door with them. So we said, no, what we need to do is have the children come back upstairs so they can be with their parents at the end of the service, and then if the parents decide to go downstairs with them, they can do that. Well, the school will give us the room to grow on every front. It will give us an auditorium that will seat between 350 and 400. It will give us a children's ministry area that is like double the space, if not more than that, of what we have now. It will give us at least 100 parking spots and even more. And it will be completely wheelchair accessible because everything is on one level. The dollars and cents, again, as I've already mentioned, would be close to breaking even. Selling the house, selling the office building, paying for the school, selling this building to pay for the renovations. Maybe we would have to borrow some, but nowhere close to $1 million. Maybe 100,000 or 150,000 or somewhere around that. But really, the majority would be covered by the sale of our buildings. Action plan. This morning I'm making the presentation. We're not going to take time for questions this morning. I know lots of you have questions. Pastor Mark, would you hand out the sign-up sheets here? We have 7 information sessions planned for this week. There are 2 on Monday, 1 on Tuesday, 2 on Wednesday, and 2 on Thursday. And so what we're going to ask you to do, if you have questions, if you have concerns, if you want to know more about this, please sign up for one of those sessions. Myself and one of our elders or one of our deacons will be at the meeting to sit down with anybody and everybody that's there to go through whatever questions you might have. And then next Sunday, following our morning service, we'll have a brief business meeting at which we'll be calling for a vote. The vote will be simply, are we willing to move forward with this? If we are willing to move forward with this, the individual who currently owns the school, because he bought it from the school board, is holding it for us and is willing to sit down with us next week or the week from Monday to sit down and say, okay, let's work out the details. And then we'll report back to you what the details are and go forth from there. So that's the presentation. Just so you know, your 7 elders and your 5 deacons are unanimous in recommending that we move forward with this. We've looked at it, and in fact, there's 2 schools. There's that one, and there's one on Auger. Looked at the one on Auger and said, no, that's just a money pit. The other one is not a money pit. There's a real great opportunity there. So please pray for God to lead us. And we've got some pictures to show you. So that's the school building. If you saw a soccer field and you got a little excited about that, sorry, that's not going to be part of it. The individual that bought the property wants the soccer field, doesn't want the school. So he wants a soccer field. He's severing that off to build some homes there, but he's wanting to sell the school to us. And I sat down with the gentleman, and it's very interesting. The gentleman actually went to Berean Baptist Sunday School as a child, went to Berean Baptist camp for summer camp, and when he heard that we were interested in buying the school, he actually got excited about that idea. So pray about that. Sign up, and we'll be able to hopefully answer your questions and have the vote next week.